The time is now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to NUFC Talk. We are live at Eddie House press conference. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 9:12 in the UK. Good morning, everyone. Mighty Wen and Gary with me here.
3:12 in the USA for our mighty
3:12
captain
in the
getting up
morning.
at ungodly hours.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be here, but I'm here. So why not? And I got a meeting at 10 will be 4:30 in the UK anyway. So, I'm sorry, in the US. So might as well be up. Anyway, folks, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, become a member, gift memberships away if you can, super chat if you can. We got a nice presser ahead of us, I would think. So please smash the like button. Some asking if Wissa will be on the bench if rumours is Darren Lee. I've heard that rumor, but he's been training, so that's that. Other questions. Maybe will he be asked about the Arne Slot comments? Which
Isn't it funny that you were saying you nearly said Klopp there, which I often do, and that's because he's a smaller manager than Klopp.
But anyway, so we'll see. 60 minutes away from the presser, so we'll see what questions are asked. And how many are relevant to the game, of course, against Fulham in the weekend. Must-win game for Newcastle United in the Premier League, definitely. But good morning, folks. How you doing?
Very good, are you? It's a very bright, very fresh, bright morning down in Warwickshire, I must admit.
It's actually bright here. It's not raining today at all yet.
No, it was blooming awful yesterday, I must admit.
It was. Me washing got wet.
So, according to 2 hours ago, it looks like the crest, the Newcastle crest, they're obviously bringing forward a suggestion by the looks of it. That's according to the Chronicle. That seems to have been the thumbs up by all. So it seems as though it's been. We won't see it on a lot of our kit until the 27-28 season anyway. So watch this space. It looks like the new crest has been decided.
That's interesting.
And have we seen a picture of it anywhere?
No, nothing. Nothing that I can see at the minute.
I'm sure it will be leaked at some point. If I'm sure it will be leaked at some point. But I guess we just gotta wait and see. They just gotta make the right decision with that. They have to. Yeah, no doubt about it.
But I think it's still got to go in front of the board, hasn't it? The supporters board and stuff like that. So
I
mean,
they're gonna say even if they don't like it, they want to say, well, the vast majority have voted for it, or something like that. They're gonna do what they want, They're gonna do what they want. Yeah, I mean, I just never think, no matter how they want to sugarcoat it, I never think a decision like that will be made by the fans. I mean, or even, I just don't see it.
For once, I agree with you. They'll just get all the lip service, complying with government legislation and all that nonsense. But the bottom line is, and by all accounts, the reason is quite simple: that production costs, on the current crest, are ridiculously high compared to something simpler for all the garments that they're now producing. And so it makes total sense, Make more money. That's what it's all about.
Well, it does make sense when you hear it, but if you try to put it in practice, I just don't see how it makes sense. To be honest with you.
No, I mean, you can see what a lot of the big clubs are.
Well, this one is difficult. For example, this one is this old school one. It's made. It's made specifically, but the newer ones like the black one, the training one, it's all in one, just like stamp. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, printed as opposed to embroidered.
Ironed on.
yeah. So,
I mean,
so I don't
what
know
the
how much you can make that any type, I guess, and just
yeah.
stamp it on.
Yeah, I
So I
mean,
don't know.
what these guys are saying, according to, again, this is the Chronicle Lee Ryder. They've viewed new versions of the club crest after a provisional date was decided and current crest to be replaced, which is what we knew. It is believed a new slick crests have been shown to the Toon bosses, with the crest set to impress fans on future lines of Adidas gear. Although it has to be made clear that no changes have been agreed and won't be until the fans are happy with the redesign. Insiders are referring to the crest as the potential new crest. So it's not been agreed yet.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Even though the Chronicle say that it's, headlines, you know what I mean?
you could say
Did you actually click on the article and
Yeah, exactly. Read the bloody thing.
you could say that the Newcastle United's logo in itself, it's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of detail to make every single time. It costs more, I guess you would say, but more it takes more time as well. So that means you're gonna have to take detail out. I don't like. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't like us going back to the old badge, the old circular one. I think that is unique and cool in its time. I don't think it looks modern at all. No, now, I don't like. I wouldn't like it for now. I'm not
No,
gonna lie.
I mean, I could understand, like, you see a lot of teams now. Liverpool have got the Liver Bird, United have got a Devil, on the second strip type of thing where they've, if you like, they've limited the amount of time spent on it. But I agree. I think sometimes when you're looking at the home kits, you want as much detail on that home kit as you can possibly get.
And
But they are just trying to streamline it rather than change it altogether.
I'm not gonna lie. I do. When I saw it, I was very, very. I liked it. The new Middlesbrough logo. I really like it. I really like it. I
What,
don't
with the
know how you make
lions?
something like that.
the
Yeah. Well,
Middlesbrough
yeah.
one?
Well, yeah. The new one that they just came out last week.
Yeah.
When if you were bothered about northeastern football, you would know, but you're not. So but it's new. It kind
Not
of looks
sure.
like the Chelsea one. It kind of looks like the Chelsea one, but they're going back in time as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it looks pretty sharp, pretty nice, elegant, classy, and to the point. And I don't know. I mean, I would like something like that, but I don't know how you make it. Well, we can't use a lion, so
No,
I mean,
would you use a magpie? Just a magpie?
what? But can you? The thing is, though, you see those old crests like Chelsea, like now Middlesbrough, like even Aston Villa, England. They all have those classy old school lions with like 20 legs or something like that. Look like a centipede.
You just want to be a colony again, don't you?
Yeah.
No, no, no. But I like those. But I don't know how you make that. Like a magpie can't look like that. I don't know how you make it work. I think you can put the seahorse on there. They'll kind of make it look like that. But the seahorse is not.
There's only ourselves in Man United who've more or less kept. We've gone back. We came away from it and have gone back to the original crest. But Man United hasn't changed hardly one little bit.
Yeah, hardly at all. Yeah, that's right. But
Um,
that means they got it right.
Everything else has changed loads.
That means well, Man City went back to the old ways a little bit.
Yeah, they went back. They incorporated the city crest again. I think
Yeah.
they're trying to wrest it back from the Red Devils.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know how you make something like that for Newcastle, but I think you could maybe. But the point is, what you put in
I'm
there.
I'm looking at the new Middlesbrough one now, and I don't like it. To me,
Oh,
it's a Chelsea copycat, isn't it?
Well,
You
that's
can't
what
say that. You can't say that. I saw that as well. But Chelsea bantering Middlesbrough. You can't say that when Middlesbrough had it before Chelsea.
But it
Yeah,
doesn't matter though, does it?
well, it does. What do you
But
mean, man?
it's Chelsea's now, man. You know, like it or not, it's Chelsea's now. That whole thing.
But anyway, so Eddie Howe coming up at any moment given
A
time now,
lion rampant.
9 minutes away. And we were just bantering and talking here until Eddie Howe comes out. So
we mentioned because Silva's already done his presser, and we were talking. We were discussing Fulham's possible lineup, and Gary's lineup didn't have Lukic in, mine did. And Silva was saying yesterday, Silva confirmed that Lukic will be back in contention after injury. And he said it's very important. He's very important to us. The physicality of the side, talking about Newcastle now, they are strong in all positions. The battle in midfield will be crucial, like last season. Tonali, Joe Linton, whoever they have, are solid, compact, aggressive, and physical. We have to reach the same level of intensity to play in the way we want to play and to control the game. So he's seeing Lukic going in as being their enforcer, if you like, to combat our aggressive and physical midfield. Doesn't say we're skillful anywhere.
there you go. Yeah, Mr. Silva speaking ahead of the Newcastle matchup. Well, what questions will be asked today to Eddie Howe? That's I don't know. I mean,
It'll invariably start off with injuries. It always does.
It's great news about Wissa, though. I mean,
Well,
like I say, I think that has been a massive
That's
positive.
the one thing I'm looking forward to, that, because they always start with injuries. So
Yeah.
we can't get him back soon enough for me.
they always start with the most important ones.
And I'm sure you'd be contemplating on, as we were discussing yesterday in the show, about form. The difference between Champions League form and Premier League form is absolutely vast. So, you'd be questioning what's the reason behind the form, in the Champions League compared. Is it the class of the opposition, or is it just the fact that Newcastle are leaving a little bit in the locker? And I asked this question to the lads yesterday, and it's a difficult one because it seems like two different teams at the moment.
I don't think they're doing it deliberately. I think they want to win every game, but I think it just happens that, which it could be a good thing, that when we play in Champions League, we had to come back with a positive result because we weren't getting positive results. Remember USG, before the USG game, we weren't getting no results. So it's like a wake up, like, you guys got to get this result. We got to win, and so we're able to do that. And then we come back to the Premier League, and we don't do too well, and then bad results start adding up, and then you stumble upon the Benfica game. So you can say that it's kind of a good thing in a sense that when you need to, you wake up, but yeah, I mean I still
put it down to the opposition. I don't think Eddie Howe will.
But psychologically,
if we were having a sweepstake as to who would be asking that hard question, saying, how can you ensure that this does happen, that we start transforming cup form into league form, my money would be on Craig Hope to be asking the dirty questions.
Yeah. I think the problem is, like I say, it's psychological. You played in a mini league, 8 games. You've got to get a certain amount of points to get through to that next round. Where when you're playing 36 games, you always feel as though you can catch up. Sorry, 38 games. You always think they're on about taking it down to 36. That's what I read this morning. That's why I've got 36 in my mind. They're going to take. They're on about trying to minimise, or they're talking about it. Minimise the Premier League down to 18.
Wow, that would be 34 games.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting one.
Not off. There'll be some squeaky bums going on. But again, it has to be voted on. So that,
of course it does. Yeah.
In no way on God's green earth that turkeys will be voting for Christmas.
No, because they said about 19, but then obviously that's an odd number, so you can't do an odd number. You know what I mean? And it was like, so let's bring it down a bit more. And you're like, crikey, that's going to be like a Super League, then, isn't it? Is that what the Premier League are pushing towards, though? Win?
Um, well, I don't know, because if they didn't let Newcastle be, because you would assume that the Premier League benefits immensely if they wanted as many big clubs as they can possibly get. Therefore, big players can come to the Premier League. More of a chance to all the superstars coming to the Premier League, and the Premier League winning everything else in Europe and everything else. For some reason, they don't. Maybe it's money related, because by keeping us down, that means the less teams, the less of a chance that the English football becomes a juggernaut amongst the others, and that would that would, if Newcastle becomes a bigger club, now you got one more alongside Man City, Chelsea, and all those clubs to attract bigger stars. They haven't let that happen. So why would they want a Super League where, um, you know, it,
Mm.
you have all these
It's
guys?
already a Super League.
No, not. It's the best league in the world. Yeah, Super League is
I mean,
different
obviously,
thing.
the Super League's talking about the champions across the Europe, isn't
It's
it?
European.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
But I mean,
Well, that term, but I mean, it can
yeah,
be
that's what
used.
I'm saying. I do think that the Premier League are, under its guidance as we speak now, are trying to push it out there a bit further than it possibly can do. And I think it's like I said, it was they were talking about it today. I can't remember what channel I was listening to on the radio when I was taking the kids to school, and I'm like, well, I haven't read that anywhere. And before I come on, I was just trying to have a look at it, and it doesn't look like there's like the BBC aren't reporting on it. So whether this is just something that they've brought up on the radio talking about it, and I've only caught a snippet of it, I don't know. But I can't see anything, coming on. What I did read this morning before the press had come on, I don't know whether you guys have read this story. There was an FA Vars round tie between Wythenshawe and Holker Old Boys has to be replayed because of a referee made a glaring error during a penalty shootout. Wythenshawe was down to 10 men after Will Callaghan was sent off. And after the game finished 2-2, it went to a penalty shootout. Holker emerged victorious 4-3 in the shootout, but had to nominate a player not to be involved during the spot kicks, thus the rule of their goalkeeper. They said their keeper won't take a spot kick to make it fair numbers. The problem is because they'd taken the keeper out of the game for not
He
taking
couldn't
a
be a
spot kick,
keeper.
he shouldn't be a keeper. But referee didn't see that when they nominated this this player as being the one that's going to be omitted from taking a penalty. So now it's got to be replayed, and they're going absolutely mental because of the amount of money it's going to cost them to travel back to Cumbria to replay the game. Mental. But I mean, it just proves, doesn't it, when these are proper. I mean, even though I think it's a seventh or eighth tier, it's quite it's quite well down. They're still official
Yeah.
referees, if you like.
Anyhow, ladies and
In the
gents,
building.
let's go. Here, players win.
No new injury issues.
Yeah, everybody, sorry, has come through okay. Obviously after a game, you've got a couple of sore bodies to look at, but nothing serious. Sandro's still the player we're monitoring. He did train on Wednesday, but didn't feel 100%, so he's the one that's probably touch and go for the game.
Staying with Sandro Tonali, could you talk to us about his contractual status, please? Because it emerged this week that he's actually tied to the club for a little bit longer than I think we initially realised.
Yes, that's correct. I think a lot happened around, obviously, the time when he was banned. So a lot of discussions between Sandro's representatives and the football club at the time. Obviously, there was the contract situation involving him, and then delaying of payments, sacrificial wages that Sandro volunteered, which I thought spoke volumes really for his mentality and how he conducted himself in that period, and the club came to an agreement. So yeah, an extension of his contract, which is a great thing. But I think most importantly, it was how he conducted himself in that ban, and I thought he was brilliant, and that's of course led to his brilliant performances since he's come back. So congratulations to him.
And how much is extending his contract a demonstration from him of his commitment to you and to Newcastle United, particularly after that support you gave him during his time away from playing?
Yeah, I think it's a two-way thing, and I think Sandro's felt the love from everyone connected with the club. The supporters have been absolutely incredible with him during the ban, for one, but that support during the ban, I think, then followed through to helping Sandro return to football, helping him, obviously, with his issues that he had off the pitch. And I think he felt that love and support, and he needed it at that time. Now we're seeing the benefits. It's easy to forget sort of the difficulties he was going through in that period. But I think that teamwork and that support, now we're seeing the benefit, and he's been brilliant since returning to football.
Another midfielder, Jacob Ramsey, came in and started the other night and made an appearance as a substitute at Brighton. How important is it that he gets some minutes, and also how impressed have you been in those 2 games that he's played since that injury layoff?
Yeah, really pleased for JJ, because coming to a new club, the last thing you want to do is pick up an injury early on. You want to show your qualities and what you can bring to the team. So he had a period away, worked hard, come back now to full fitness. I've been impressed. I still feel there's so much more to come, both physically and technically, because I think he's got outstanding technical qualities. Very intelligent player. So I think the best is yet to come, but certainly a positive impression.
And on Fulham, what sort of level of performance do you need to deliver this weekend to get another big result at St James's Park?
Well, I think the very best performance, I think you go back to last year, 2 disappointing results against Fulham. So I think we know the qualities of their team, and Marco's done a brilliant job there. So I think these are difficult games for us, and we felt that returning from the Champions League, always the high emotion of the Champions League games, the energy that those games bring you, they're night games, it's a totally different feel back to the afternoon kickoff in the Premier League. Big mental challenge for us, and we have to rise to that and grow from the experiences that we've had previously. This will be a tough game.
Thank you. Keith?
Eddie, I know it's not new news to you, the Sandro Tonali situation, but I think just the feeling from the supporters is almost like they're quite relieved, because it feels like there's a bit of security there regarding him. Do you feel that as well? I guess the last thing you want to do is a situation that we saw with Alexander Isak last summer.
Yeah, I mean, every situation is different. I think Sandro's happy. I think he's enjoying his football. I think he feels integral to the squad. I think he feels the love of the players and the supporters. You can never foresee what the future holds. I think I've learnt that now. But we're just enjoying his qualities and how he's playing and expressing himself in the team, and long may that continue.
Do you think you've got, whether now or in the future, one of the best midfielders in the world in your hands?
Potentially. Very difficult to label players. I don't tend to like doing that. I think it's a dangerous thing to do. I always think the players have to prove that consistently. I don't think it helps me to do that, but I think the attributes are there in his game to be that. I think the attitude is there, fundamentally so important, that the consistency and the daily habits that a player has, then you see come out on the pitch. Sandro has all those qualities. Yeah, he has the technical delivery, the athleticism. So yeah, I think he has a bit of everything. But he's of course, the challenge is to improve. The challenge is to consistently show you're that, and I'd back him to do it.
How pleasing was it the other night that obviously Sandro was unwell and was unable to play, but as you touched on there, you could bring in the likes of Miley and Ramsey, and they did so well. I suppose that's the perfect situation for you as a manager, and it gives you decisions moving forward. And it feels like the two of them, I know Ramsey's been injured, but it feels like the two of them have reacted well to maybe being out of the side, whether it is through injury or through your choice.
Oh, Louis and JJ.
Yeah.
I think it's massive for us that you have players that can come in and, I would say, make the team play better, but bring their own qualities to the team, and in some senses, in some ways, that might make your team play better. I think that's crucial for us. We need the depth. We arguably didn't have that 2 years ago, and we paid the price for that. So I thought it was a great sign for the squad. Two players came in and performed as they did. It also speaks volumes to their professionalism and how ready they are. So it was a big moment for them both and for the team. So very pleased, and of course that adds a different dynamic then when you come back to selecting a new team. It gives me a lot to think about. That's
8 weeks now that Nick Voltemad's been in here. He's obviously made some impression with his tricks and his flicks and his goals and his all-round personality, it certainly seems. How pleased are you with the way he's come on, given that in that first game against Wolves, I think he was saying he was cramping up at half time, but how is he physically, and is he more robust to go through these next few weeks, being the sort of main out-and-out striker that you have?
Physically, a vast improvement. I think, that first game against Wolves, I think that you have to understand the first game, there's a lot of emotions in there as well. But I think that was his best physical performance against Benfica. I thought his pressing from the front, his attitude to press, his durability, his robustness, excellent. The challenge for him in this moment is he's got to do that every 3-4 days. And that's not easy, physically and mentally. So a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, but he's carrying that really well. I see a player and a person coming into the training ground who feels more at home in his environment now. I think a lot more relaxed. You're seeing his natural personality come out, and it's all positive. So very pleased with him.
And is he okay to go again tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll see today. We've got a full training day today, so we'll see a lot of the players that haven't trained since the game.
Thanks, Eddie. Cheers.
Andy?
Well, Eddie, how much has the Nick Pope assist been talked about over the last few days?
Maybe in Nick's house, yeah. I'm sure he's had the video out a few times. For us, look, it was a great moment. It was a great moment for Nick, and I think it was a great moment for Harvey. And of course a big moment for the team because we needed that second goal. But I think you sort of quickly move on when you're preparing the next game. The next game comes whizzing round and you can't look back too much. So, but it's one that we'll look back, I'm sure, fondly through time because it's not often you see a goalkeeper throw the ball like that.
We talk about Bruno's quality on the pitch a lot, but I heard a stat the other day, 124 games out of the last 127 that he started. We talk about his ability. What about his durability to keep going? Because it's not just Newcastle, it's obviously the travel internationally as well. Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest strengths that Bruno brings is his consistency of his body, his attitude. He's a very positive person. I think that positivity that he brings carries through in all aspects of his life. That reliability, when you're calling on someone consistently and going, can you perform again? Very, very rarely does he let us down. He's always there. And I think that's the attribute of a top player, the consistency, as I mentioned earlier, to deliver not just week on week, but month on month and then season after season. So full compliments to him. And now I don't really like to hear those stats because you just want Bruno to carry on and not think too much because it certainly worked for him.
Just on Sandro, how much he's been obviously through so much. There's so much happened to him since his move to Newcastle United. How much have you seen him change and develop as a person, would you say, in that time?
Yeah, I think you see players change a lot because they come to you in their early 20s and then obviously they develop, depends how long they stay with you, but they're developing through the really important years of their life. And I think we've seen Sandro come in with very limited grasp of English to now being able to communicate freely with everybody, which is such an important thing. He's obviously had a very difficult early start here and he was able to handle that in a really responsible, dignified way. And he still have those challenges in his life for sure and he's navigated them brilliantly. and then sort of on and off the pitch, he's due to become a dad. So big changes in his life. But we've seen him grow and develop and be very popular amongst his teammates. That's always a sign for me of your character. So yeah, very pleased with him.
Just finally, you alluded to this the other night, the difference in form between the Champions League at the moment and the Premier League. So I guess the big question is, how do you bring that form from the Champions League into obviously an entirely different competition in the Premier League?
Yeah, it's all down to mentality for me. It's down to our attitude. There's no difference for me between a pre-season game and a Premier League game. Whatever competition, our attitude for the games has to be the same. I thought our attitude against Benfica was very, very good. But now we need to back that up with a consistent performance and the will to win. The will to win has to be there in every game, and we'll certainly be looking for that tomorrow.
Mark, welcome back.
Thank you. Morning, Eddie.
Nice to see you.
You've touched on it already, strength in depth, and how much do you think it's improved since the last Champions League campaign?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because the last Champions League campaign, if you'd asked me at the start of the season, I said we had an outstanding squad with real depth. But we lost players continually in that early stage of the season, so we lost the strength. We still, looking back at that season, performed very well, I have to say, despite the challenges we faced. Slightly new position for us this year. We have the depth, and then it's using the depth correctly at the right time without losing the balance in the team and the cohesion that you need to get regular results. So that's a puzzle that we're trying to work through.
Anthony Gordon's talked about how he loves playing with Nick Voltemade. How impressed have you been with the way Nick has settled in? And of all the summer signings across the Premier League, he seems to be one of those that sort of hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Ant likes playing with him because I think they've got very good technical qualities, and I think good technical players like playing with each other. I think Nick's settled in well in that respect, especially because the lads trust him with the ball. They want to give him the ball in every moment. I think it's testament to Nick's attitude and bravery that he's come to a new league, and he's expressing himself in his way straight away, and long may that continue.
And finally, for me, we've talked a lot about Sandro Tonali. Does the backing the club gave him during the ban and the sort of pledging his loyalty to you, I mean, is loyalty now perhaps still alive in the Premier League?
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I believe in human beings, and I believe there is loyalty. Every situation's so unique and different. I don't think you can draw parallels to any two situations. Hopefully, we gave Sandro the support he needed. Firstly, in that moment, forgetting the footballer, and I said this at the time, for the person and for his long-term health and for his life. Football then takes a back seat, but hopefully, his football's benefited from that viewpoint.
Thank you, Mark. Damien, Lee.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Just on Sandro again, the fact that you were able to bring a player of his quality here, keep him happy, give him a chance to fulfil his ambitions, will that help you when you go into the transfer market and look at other similar marquee signings?
Yeah, I hope so. I think there's always players that are very intelligent these days. The representatives of players do a lot of research and in-depth analysis about potential next clubs for their clients. So I'm sure they'll look at case studies and similar examples and draw parallels to them. So I think if we can have as many successful transfers as possible, I'm sure that will help us for future transfers, yeah.
And just, I don't know whether you'd seen, but Arne Slot the other night seemed to suggest that Newcastle were to blame for Alexander Isak's current situation. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I don't think that's wise for me to get involved in those discussions. I think Alex is no longer at this football club, so I won't comment on it.
Thank you. Lee Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, just following up on that, can you give us some insight into the professional background that we've got here? Because it's quite audacious for someone to even suggest that he didn't get treated properly when he was here.
Go on, Lee. What's your question?
You've obviously changed the training ground. You've got top-level staff here. It's quite audacious that someone could actually say that in public about the setup here.
Yeah, I think the setup here is... If the question is what do I think of the setup, yeah, I think the setup here is very good. It's not perfect, we've got things to improve and to grow, but the club and the owners here have developed the facilities since I've been here very, very well. And I know there's huge, well, you can see there's building work going on currently to hopefully help us deliver even better in the future. But I've got no complaints. We've got elite athletes here, many of them, and touch wood, we're managing them pretty well at the moment.
Just going on to the game, you want to be high up the league, obviously, but Fulham, it's a game what you can't underestimate. I mean, they came here and won the game last season, so it's one you can't underestimate, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that's key for us. I think if we do, that's where we'll run into trouble. As I say, the Champions League is an amazing competition, and we love being in it. If there is a pitfall around it, it's then how do you return to the Premier League with the sole focus of winning the next game and lose the baggage of that very, very quickly. That's the challenge that we face. I think we've done it okay so far, but I think we can improve it and do it better. But it's the focus then, the laser focus we need on the next Premier League game, or whichever competition we're in. That's where I think top teams are defined, because the performance should be unaffected by what competition we're in. And as you said, Fulham beat us here last year, and probably deservedly so. So we need to use those games as learning experiences to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Thank you. We've got a Chris, Dominic and Craig, please. Chris.
Morning, Eddie. Obviously, Nick Pope's assist the other night got sort of the attention, but he makes two big saves in the first half. He's made some really big saves so far this season and through his Newcastle career so far. Do you think that it's almost underestimated how important a player he is and what he brings to the side? Because people talk about the fact that he's not as comfortable with his feet, but actually as a goalkeeper and what he brings, how important is he for your side?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because it can be taken for granted. The two saves he made the other night, I thought both were outstanding saves in big moments, 0-0 in the game. And, if you go a goal behind, it doesn't mean you can't win, but it makes it so much harder. So I thought the first one in particular, which was slightly unorthodox because it's sort of gone under his arm, but he's found a way to keep it out. And I think that's always been Nick's biggest strength. He finds a way, most of the time, percentage-wise, to keep the ball out the net. And he's got that unique gift. He's obviously got long limbs and a big frame, but he uses it to the best of his ability and the best of his advantage to make big saves. I'll go back to the cup final. The save he made, we were 2-0 up, and there was still a big chunk of the game left. He sticks out a big hand, and it was a massive save for us. And yes, goals always get the full coverage, and I understand that, and rightly so. Goalkeepers really only come to light if they make an absolute worldie save or they make a mistake. But Nick's had a habit of continually making very, very good saves, and he's very valuable to us.
And you see how valuable he is to you, though. Obviously, the way that the players celebrated with him, that was partly to do with that goal, but he's also been voted into the leadership group. How valued by his teammates is he?
Yeah, I think that's a very good sign for him. I think he's got the full respect of the dressing room. He's consistent. He's a consistent person. He's the same every day. Very positive. But he's got this desire to learn still. He trains really, really well. He's got a good relationship with the goalkeepers around him and his coaches. And I think he's very vocal. If you were to walk into our changing room before a game, he'll be one that will be leading the encouragement of the outfield players. So those things are really valuable to us.
Thanks, Chris. Dominic?
Morning, Eddie. We've seen Liverpool and Alexander Isak almost paying the price for a player who didn't have a proper pre-season, play any games. Just linking it back to yourselves and Johan Wissa, is a similar level of patience going to be required with him once he returns to full fitness?
Yes, I believe so. I think if you look at Johan's situation, he will need almost a pre-season, and pre-season schedules that we give to players will be 6 weeks, and we'll do that for a reason, so we can build them up and they can play in various games and then they're ready to perform. So I'm not saying he won't play for 6 weeks, but I think to get to his very best level, it will probably take that time. But firstly, before we get to that stage, we need to get him fully 100% fit, and then we can really push him. So he's on that road. He's been to see a specialist yesterday. That was a routine appointment. He's on track. He's doing well. So now I think we can push him a little bit harder.
And what sort of time frame we're looking at? Is it still what we're
still the same? I'm losing track of weeks, but it's not changed.
Still the right side of the international break, the November international.
Yeah, whatever I said a while ago.
Go to Craig and then to Charlie, please.
Morning, Eddie. Obviously, the comment this week about Newcastle being a smaller club has irritated supporters. Would you go into bat on their behalf to defend the size of Newcastle United? Sold out every week, 8th in the Champions League at the moment, Carabao Cup holders, everything else.
I like the way you've worded that. Encouraged me to go into bat, just push me up. I don't have to do that. I don't feel. You've done it for me with reeling off all those things.
You just repeat everything I've said.
I'm not going to do that, but you obviously know what my answer would be.
On fitness, Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, where are those guys at?
Doing well. I think Tino's on the grass for the first time today, and he's making really good progress, so very happy with him. Lewis is the same. Lewis is doing really well. He's been on the grass for a while. He's been pushing himself. He's done back-to-back sessions. Yeah, he'll be hopefully not too far away now.
Okay, Charlie, then Kieran, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
You were known at Bournemouth for playing a variant of a 4-4-2 formation. Is that something you could do here at Newcastle once you almost have returns to fitness?
I wonder what you're going to say then. I'd never rule anything out. Obviously, we've played a certain formation for a while now, but there's so much flexibility within that system. We end up in all sorts of shapes. Everyone gets fixated with the start point of the system, but the end point of the system is probably 7 or 8 systems in itself. So 4-4-2 as a start point, yeah, I'd say we have done it. Do I see us doing it consistently? Maybe not, but who knows?
And just sticking with the forward players, he perhaps might not want to hear this, but is Harvey Barnes, with his attributes he brings and the way the game is now with all the substitutes, is he better as an impact player off the bench, do you think?
I think he's done well in that respect, but I don't think that's his best position now. He's done well in every moment, whether that's coming on, starting the games. I just think he's a very, very good player. And the most important aspect, I think, from Harvey's, or attribute from Harvey's game, is that he does score goals. If you look back through his record, he's very strong in that area. And I know it sounds obvious, but you need as many goals as you can. And Harvey brings shots, goals, assists. He's a very, very good player. And as I said after the game the other day, it was great to see him score off the right-hand side because he'd played very well there for us for a while. But yeah, I don't think it actually necessarily scored, but that would do his confidence from that side of the pitch the world of good.
Thank you. We've got to Kieran, Gary and Martin, please. Kieran?
Morning. When you see the way Anthony played the other night, I mean, do you see more to come from him? Maybe we haven't seen the numbers in the Premier League in the same way.
Yeah, I think there's more to come from him. I think he looked in a really good place on Tuesday. He was direct. He was full of running. And he going back to the Harvey point, he produced an assist, a goal. Yeah, really pleased with his performance. And the challenge is for Harvey and for all the players is to produce that on a consistent basis. Because if he can, there's very few that can do what he can do.
And more generally, what have you kind of made of how the players have adapted since losing such a key player last summer? Obviously, it probably took a bit of time, as you touched on earlier in the week. What have you made kind of the partnerships that are building since then?
Positive signs, but I still feel we've got a lot to do. A lot to do in all areas of the team. Those relationships and those partnerships, for me, your job is to try and bring the best out of the player around you, make the player around you better. That's how I believe the team should be, and I think we're on our way to doing that, but I think there's a lot more to come. And I think that just comes from understanding of where certain players want the ball. And yeah, as I said a few weeks ago, for me, we're a new team that's growing and developing and hopefully on the right track to get better every week.
Gary?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Just on a personal level, how does it make you feel to hear someone call Newcastle a smaller club?
Let's go back to Craig's question. I can't answer that, and I don't think that was directly what was said, but it's best I stay away from it.
Okay, and on a lighter note, a couple of weeks ago, I brought Nick's comments to you where he'd mentioned he was looking for a girlfriend. You said you knew a few people who could help him out.
Did I?
How's that going? Has he found love yet?
I don't think I've started any work on that. Lee might know better than me, but no, I think Nick's at the moment. Look, I don't want to kill him, but I think he's concentrating on his football, and hopefully that will stay that way. But as time goes on, I'm sure he'll meet lots of new people here.
Martin?
Morning, Eddie. I'll not mention the manager of Liverpool. There's been a lot about Sandro signing an extension during the ban, but are you keen for him to sign a new deal?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, there's been a lot about Sandro signing the extension during his ban, but are you? But there's also been talks about a new deal. Are you keen for him to sign a new deal?
Yeah, I mean, that'll be one for Ross Wilson, the new sporting director. All new contracts, players' contract length will be looked at by him, and obviously I'll have a discussion with him on all of those things, but we haven't talked at length about that.
And there was a big outlay in the summer on players, but obviously finance came back into the club. Is the club in a position now where it can invest again in January, and is that something you would like to do?
I think every transfer window, for me, is an opportunity to invest, and we will look at it and try and make the best decisions for the future of the club, knowing what we have available in that window and then the following windows, and try and make the best decision. I would love to get to a situation where we can invest in every window, not necessarily big outlays, sometimes small outlays, but to keep the fluidity in the squad and to keep building forwards. But we haven't had those discussions yet.
Thank you. Sean?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
You mentioned it before about how well Jacob Ramsey did coming into the team. You've said in the past that Joelinton's got quite a unique profile in terms of the qualities he can bring to the midfield and that other midfielders don't necessarily have. But it seemed pretty seamless, the transition that Jacob coming to the team the other night and performed really well. Do you think you found a genuine alternative for Joelinton in there?
I don't think you can underestimate the strength of the midfield players we have. I mean, we forget Joe Willock's qualities, who's been an outstanding player for us historically. We're just trying to get Joe back to his very, very best form. So I think we have, and all those players, will bring their own unique qualities in that position. So Jacob brought his qualities to that position the other day. He's very technical, as I say. He's very intelligent. But Joelinton's qualities are rare and ones that we really cherish. So whether Joe plays in any of those positions, I mean, he's very flexible, which is a great strength of his. But it's those competition for places is what we need, and that's great to see that position hotting up.
And just touching on competition for places, you obviously played with Jacob Murphy the other night on the right wing and Anthony Gordon on the left, and Harvey Barnes come on and scored 2 goals. All 3 of those players made a real impact, and obviously Anthony Elanga came on towards the end of the game. But what do you think Anthony Elanga needs to do that perhaps the other 3 showed the other night?
With Anthony, we're working hard with him actually in training and trying to give him the training time that he hasn't had, and no player's had during this season is going to be such a unique one. Even Nick, I mean, you look at Nick and we've done everything we can with him in between games, but it's very limited as to what we can do with him because the time and the physical output doesn't allow us to do it because there's another game around the corner. But if Anthony isn't starting the game, then we can certainly continue the work that we started with him during pre-season to get him to fully understand and implement and embed him into the team framework. So I'm really, really excited about Anthony's future. I think he's got all the qualities we need. Just maybe needs a little bit more time to understand what we do. But that's, for those of you that have been here any length of time, that's not unique for us. There's some players that have had to work for a long time to fully get the Newcastle way. But sometimes it's really worth the wait, and I think that will be the case with that.
Okay, any more? Okay, thank you. See
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was the presser, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're getting to the reaction of some of the statements being made by Eddie Howe. Well, what do you guys make of it?
Well, there's a lot on Sandro. Interesting to me that he said he hasn't talked to, he says it'll be down to the new DOF, Ross Wilson, to sort contracts and lengths and details out. And he said,
he said he'll talk to him about it too.
He said, I talked, but I haven't talked to him yet, which is I'm not. I don't know if I'm happy with that. If it's true, because it's something that should be top of the agenda. Get him signed up on a new deal.
I don't know why Russ Wilson needs to talk to Howe about it, or Howe needs to talk to Wilson about it. It should be a very easy executive decision for Wilson if he has any backbone whatsoever. And so I don't know why they have to talk about it. They should just get it done. Wilson should just get it done. Better said. Thank you, Corey D, for the super chat. Eddie answering. Let me see. Put that back up again. There you go. Eddie answering everything but the slot questions. Blokes defending better than our back four. There you go. Yeah. Well, I have. I don't like it. I don't like it. I like my manager to have a little bit of to cross the line when it comes to defending the fan. That's me though. I didn't like that. I think that just bite the bait, man. Just bite the bait.
Too much class.
Yeah. It's
psychological warfare. I mean, I loved the part, and I'll be honest with you. Somebody else picked up on it. I did. It was Tony. How brought up the cup final? It was a clear dig at slots, and that's what I'm saying. When you talk about us being a smaller club,
what did I say about the cup?
It was just, like I say, when winning the cup and things like that. You know what I mean? It's that sly psychological work and wording. You don't always need to answer the question when it's fired at you. You can answer it in a different way. And then come out of that was Craig Hope talking about what we've done, what we've achieved, answers the question, And I think that in itself puts to bed the smaller club question that was fired back, from slots. So for me, I think the question was answered, but it was answered in a different way to obviously what you like to hear. I mean, I love that. I love the psychological warfare that he brings. And somebody else put in the chat that, listening to Eddie puts a smile across your face from ear to ear, because if he is so well scribed, and I don't know whether he's prepared beforehand when he comes into the presses, but he always answers with dignity. He always answers with that positivity, but he'll shut down anything that can be misscrewed, that can put a bit of a cloud over Newcastle, if you like. Where if you've noticed in the past, and again, what happens in other journalists' way, if you say something, and I was just reading about while I was listening to the lad, what's happened with West Ham and Callum Wilson, and how that's blown up out of all proportions. And that's what I'm saying. I love the way Eddie answers these questions, because he has snide snippets, but he never actually mentions the person that has brought it to the term, if you like. He's not going to go back and say Slots this, Liverpool is this, but he'll do it in his own way.
Yeah, that's not good enough for me though. But to each their own. To each their own. Everybody's it gets their fruck up, blown in their own particular way. Win, I'm sure he was creaming over this, but not to Well, you want to say something?
I just thought he was just showed the class that we've got that Slot hasn't got.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. What other things did he say?
Well, they were on about the Pope assist, and has it been talked about and discussed and so on. And again, he said it was a great moment, and no doubt it's been talked about in Pope's household. But he's just on with the next game. That's something to look back on in the future. Got to get ready for the next game. But I'm sure they might be trying it in training. Not going to give anything away though. And then he was asked by a few actually, not Craig Hope, so I would have lost that sweep, about replicating UCL form in the Premier League. And a couple of things came to mind here, especially in the light of what David Hopkinson was saying during the week about everything is geared to results on the pitch and nothing else, and how it was about results and not words. But his words concerning replicating Champions League form in the Premier League were, quote, it's all about mentality and attitude. And, you know, they are lovely words. But if those lovely words are not transformed into performances on the pitch on Saturday and results against Fulham, then that's all they are, isn't it? They're just words. And it sounds great, but bottom line is, well, hello, Harry Ellie 21, and that's our good old friend Warren, isn't it, in the picture? So he's got a new handle and all along with
Everybody's got
Sean.
the same handle, man. Everybody's got the same handle they always had. They're just YouTube doing things. Anyway, read the super chat there. Love Eddie. He's
Love
ideal.
Eddie is the ideal manager. Total respect, and I couldn't agree more.
I think it's exactly what we were mentioning, wasn't it, about leaving stuff in the locker, in the locker room, and Eddie. It's nice to know that Eddie's actually seeing this himself because he's mentioned that. So the words for Eddie is they have to replicate Champions League form and Premier League form. It has to be seen as the same. And if there's a drop off of 5%, only 5%, it's across the team. That is a massive drop off from everybody, and that's why I said before, Eddie has got to somehow have some type of, whether it's a motivational speech or whatever it is, but he has to get that level of performance in the Premier League as we are now seeing in the Champions League, because it's not different players that are coming in, apart from a couple of rotated players that we saw against Benfica. It's the same players coming in week after week. So the replication shouldn't change. That's why I mentioned it. Are we leaving stuff in the locker room? Because we're not seeing a mirror image here.
And
haven't done up to now. He also mentioned it's massive to have players coming on off the bench to be able, like he was referring to Barnes, I think, coming off the bench, because he was then specifically asked, does he see Barnes as an impact sub as opposed to a starter? And he lied for me. He said he's always done as well starting games as he has coming on, and went on to list his goals and that. But the other thing he said was, which was interesting, on Wednesday he scored from the right, which he hasn't done up till now. So there's a food for thought. Or maybe going to see him coming on the right more than simply replacing Gordon on the left, which has been the pattern up to now.
But I think it's nice. It's refreshing to think. You talk about where, and that leads into that formation question about the 4-4-2 that he used to play at Bournemouth, and you could see Eddie was trying to. He looked a bit quizzed at that one, because he don't want to replicate the time at Bournemouth, because these are totally different players, and he's at a different genre now, as in the quality of the team. So, as he was trying to explain, the 4-3-3 gives a lot of fluidity to each tactical situation that Eddie puts out versus the opposition they're facing. So the game, even though on paper it looks very much a dominant 4-3-3, if you look through the actual game press against Benfica, it was a 4-4-2 at times, because you had the two lads up top, the two wide boys that came narrow when Voltemada came deep. So you had a 4-4-2 scenario, and I think that's what Eddie was trying to say. The 4-3-3 gives you such a dynamic expression on the field. You can utilise the likes of Harvey Barnes then on that right-hand side, being that naturally right-footed player, because you have got the players now within the system that can adapt and adopt to the formation. Interesting on the Elanga scenario, where he wants to give him more time, and the fact that because you've got so many games coming thick and fast, the actual tactical side of it and the training side of it between rest days is now minimal. So the amount of football tactics that they are being taught Now it's more or less, you're on your own for a little bit. Get on with it. But it's obviously, now when you look and approach the way Elanga approaches each game now, he's still lost a little bit. He's still a bit of rabbits in headlights. And I think, coming from Nottingham Forest, the way Forest played, considering the way Eddie plays, which is very direct, very pressed on, Elanga probably needs a few more games, a few more weeks before you'll see the best out of him. And I hope it's sooner rather than later, to be fair.
Yeah.
You were saying basically that with them not playing, starting every game, they're being able to work harder physically with them between games, which you can't do with. He mentioned Voltemada and somebody else he mentioned, saying that you can't do the physical training because they're giving so much energy in the games themselves. You've got to be very careful about managing that physical load.
I mean, it is interesting what Harry's just said there, or Warren, whoever he is. It is potentially pushing Elanga a bit further down the pecking order. But again, we mentioned it against Benfica. We mentioned it, a number of times. Why not give Elanga a little bit of a shout on that left-hand side rather than change two players for bringing one player off? Because then by moving Harvey Barnes over to the left, in actual fact, he took Harvey Barnes out of the system. Because it take, the small amount of time that you had left in the game on that left-hand side, your mental approach to playing on that left-hand side changes because you've had so much fun on the right-hand side, and for me, that was the wrong choice to do. I would have just said, it's like for like, you get over there and see what you can do in place of Anthony Gordon. Keep everything as it was.
Yeah, that's well sensible. Monica saying Elanga is now third choice right way behind Murphy and Barnes.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
I don't know.
That's not true at all. One change doesn't make anything, man. One game doesn't make anything. You could say that Eddie Howe could use that as an option, but Eddie Howe it can be. I don't see him making that drastic change that all of a sudden Elanga is not to play anymore, or be a bench player or a sub. It'd be naive and I think too dramatic.
I think that's almost exactly what he said. They're going to concentrate on Elanga in training, which means that he isn't going to utilise him as much in games until he gets up to speed and learns the difference between the system at Forest and here. I think that's exactly what he said.
I'm sure game performance, will negotiate where he is in the pecking order.
Oh yeah.
And I think if Barnes comes on and performs as he did against Benfica, whether he starts, whoever's off the bench, again it goes to performance, and that's what he alluded to for the midfielders with JJ, coming on and being a replacement for J7, which isn't easy to do because of what J7 brings to the team. Then all of a sudden, you've got a different dynamic within that midfield, the same as Miley and Tonali, a different dynamic, but all playing very well. So how do you change it up?
Harris is going to get Chris because I am going to on it
tonight.
Yeah, all right, there you go.
He's going on it tonight when we do this Friday night and we're getting to the tune.
I thought you said you weren't gonna be there. You were messaging me earlier on.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna have it then. Well, we'll come back on it tonight. You're on it. Say, listen, we'll be there, man. No, ni bother, man. Ni bother. Put the money in the jukebox, and we'll have some fun. But Elanga has been poor since Alan McMurtry. Chris, let's hope he gets better. Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm not saying he's been great, but I will see. I don't know about Eddie Howe making these drastic changes when he sees one player play good.
But I don't think it is a drastic change. That's the point.
Okay, well, we shall see. We'll see. We'll see who starts in the weekend, and we'll see who's we'll see if Barnes starts.
Yeah.
We'll see if Barnes starts on the right.
It's
Highly
going to
doubt
be
it.
good news for Newcastle, though. Surely, if you've got a headache on making your first 11, I think that's what we've been crying out for a long time now. And we all said this is going to show how good a coach Eddie Howe is when he has to start looking at individuals to set the formation and tactic for the opposition. He's now got a choice where before the 11 picked themselves.
Yeah, I'd be astounded if Alanga starts on the right wing on Saturday. I'd be astounded because Murphy's got to start in front of him. And then when it comes to sub time, again, after Barnes's Wednesday performance coming off the bench, I'd be astounded if he didn't. If Murphy isn't producing the goods, I'd be astounded if Barnes doesn't come off the bench on the right.
I think, like I said, you can't. Again, you can't just say he wouldn't start, or For me, I think the way Fulham are at the moment, regarding their injuries, if I was Eddie Howe, I'd be thinking of getting as many fast players on that field to get at their defence and put them under a lot of pressure as I could. And I mean, Darren Lee has put in the post there, if he'd have had somebody in the box to put them balls that he's crossed into the box away, he would have had a number of assists by now. And I think that would have also put his confidence a little bit higher in the pecking order. And I think that is, that's all we're looking for, isn't it? We're looking for a display that we can put to his name, where if he's not getting a goal himself, he's getting assists. And I think, for a long time now, we've been on the back of Anthony Gordon because he hasn't really been driving the wedge at Newcastle as he does in international level. That's what we want from Elanga. It's not as if we're expecting him to be, a worldie. We're not expecting Yamal to be all of a sudden appearing in the Newcastle strip. We just want him to go out there and have, games where he's involved, he's creating, he's getting at the defences. And we saw the other against Brighton when he had that chance of running at their defence. He stops because he's
that's it. I've been disappointed with him, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not the Elanga that you saw at Nottingham Forest, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's true. It's not the Gordon that was 2 years ago either. So that should be also mentioned. He doesn't get criticized as much, though.
What?
By certain folks. He doesn't. This is the truth. Yeah, Elanga gets slated left and right. He needs to be a bench player. Nobody's ever said Gordon needs to be a bench player, ever. Nobody here. So, something to think about.
Because unfortunately, neither has Harvey Barnes been good enough to take his place. And that's the problem, isn't it? You've got two, at the time when you need a good player, you lose Anthony Gordon for suspension, Harvey Barnes get his opportunity to really nail that position down, and he goes missing on the left-hand side. So, really speaking, you've got to have players, again, this is this mentality thing, that are willing to go out there and fight for that shirt. And it seems, like I said, it seems lax at times for players playing in the same position.
By the way, the only thing I've ever said with Gordon is that whoever has replaced him has never had his work rate.
I think it's work. You keep valuing this running around.
Yeah, do value work rate.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything, man. He needs to perform. That's why we don't score and we didn't get points. That's the reason. We got the defense. We're pretty good. We got it locked down. Malik Chow, Botman, we got it locked down. But it's about the attack, and that's what's going to get us Premier League points. That's what we need right now, desperately. So, and I think Harvey Barnes link up play with Voltemada will be under, and as well with Gordon. So it seems like Voltemada is making everybody better. So that's good to keep him on the pitch. So when Wissa is available, now you're going to have to question which one comes off. Right or left? Right or left? Right or left? Because the one in the middle cannot come off. That's clear. It's plain and simple. But it's a good problem to have anyway. Thank you, Warren. Then it says more of the same, never change a winning team. There you go. That's what.
Mr. Clough.
Old school stuff there, but there you go. It's still valuable to this day, though. Still valuable to this day. Any last thoughts on what Eddie Howe had to say? Oh, Wissa 6-week preseason, more or less.
Well, he said back before. It says he's been on grass a week now, but he need to be
Yeah, but he
back.
still has to be 100% clear though. First, he's not that yet.
But he said he's still on track to be back before the November international break.
To come back, like
that's what he said.
Well, but I mean, was that not the injury part of it? Like, he's going to be medically clear by that time.
Well, yeah, because he also said that then, as with any player, it'll take 6 weeks. After that, once he's back fully fit, it'll still take 6 weeks, which is what the normal pre-season is for to then get up to match fitness and match speed and everything else. So he's not expecting Wissa to come back immediately and knock doors out the windows.
I think it'll be interesting.
I just hope he does.
To try, to take a midfielder out. So you take Joe Linton out, keep Tonali and Bruno there, and add, when Wissa's available, an attacker, still with maybe Wissa right behind Walter Mata, or Wissa up front, Walter Mata behind him. Wissa can play that loose role as well, or just change it up.
You want Wissa in the box, Fox in the box with Walter Mata sneaking the balls through. Though.
I guess you haven't watched Wissa really, so you don't know that he is.
Yeah, I think I've watched more of Wissa than you've watched him. Did you watch the Congo game when he played on the left wing? Like, is that
I watched one game and you think you know Wissa? What are you talking about, man? I watch Wissa, and Wissa he can run all over the place. I think he can interchange with Walter Mata very well. But keeping the wingers, right wing and the left wing, that top four there, trying something like that would be amazing. Whether Eddie Howe will take a midfielder out for that, I don't know. But it would definitely.
19 goals last season, and I would say at least 13 of them were from inside the 6-yard box, with getting on the end of balls that Mbeumo was putting into.
Okay, we'll see. Warren, bacon, anyone buying red and brown sauce?
Brown sauce, always on a bacon butty. Gotta be brown sauce.
Both.
There you go.
And the only other thing which I thought was interesting, again, back on Sandro, a new contract, and did he think there was still loyalty in the game? He said he was so impressed with Sandro's attitude during the ban. He was asked various things, and the quote that got to me a bit was, "I believe in human beings," which I thought was a typical Eddie quote. I believe in human beings.
That's all you can believe. You can't believe in Martians.
I'm gonna say.
What are you talking about, man?
Area 51.
Man, anything that this says gets to you, man. What the heck, man? My God. Anyway, it's unbelievable, man. Just the obsession is off this roof. But anyway, well, listen, man. You do well on that quote and fall asleep to it if you want to. That's fine. Snuggle with it at night. But
I shall, and I'll be very happy.
I'm
Not a cynical old miserable colony.
Whatever wrecks your boat, man. Whatever wrecks your boat, man. Whatever wrecks your boat. Yeah, you're never mind. I don't want to say it. Anyway, folks. Well, that's that for that. We'll be back at 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. USA for the Friday Neat Show. Join us for some banter, good laughs, hilarity, and good old stories of the time in this channel. And yeah, we'll see you, Warren. You're on it tonight. We'll be back at it at 8 p.m. UK, mate. So there you go. He'll be on the sauce, I'm sure. But anyway, it's been a lovely one. And tomorrow, full match day. Don't forget about that. An hour before kickoff. It'll be, I think, 2 p.m. I think I think 2 p.m. kickoff for us, maybe something like that. Gavin Fuller, super chat. Ilanger has been well scouted and will come good. I agree with that, man. I agree with that.
Sure.
Anyway, we'll see you later, and gentlemen, later on 8 p.m. tonight, if not tomorrow, before the Fulham match. Join us. We'll see you later, folks.
Lads.
Lassies and bands.
Hey.